yeah, right now it's Van Halen. And guess what? Right now it's time for Sports Corner with me, Ralph Williams, Smokin, Jim Frazier. And I tell you what, today, oh yeah, we have ourselves one great show today for you. And that is our college football special as we welcome you here to the show today. We're going to be talking today West Virginia, Penn State, Pitt, and the ACC as a whole. That's all today. Well, our first guest coming up shortly here is Kevin Kinder. He covers the West Virginia Mountaineers. And then at 4:30, EMMITT MAHON. And EMMITT covers Penn State Nittany Lions. And then at 5 o'clock, Jerry DePaola from the Pittsburgh Tribune Review, who covers the Pitt Panthers. And then at 5:30, our new special guest to the show, the president of one of our sponsors, ASAP Sports Network, Ray Cruz, will join us. And Ray will be here to talk with us about the ACC network and the conference as a whole coming up at 5:30. Big show today, 2-hour special on college football. It's going to be one heck, get you ready for the season, get you all psyched up and ready to go. I know today there were a bunch of baseball trades going around, but we're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about college football. All right. Our national sponsors are Amped Up Sports, ASAP Sports Network, CRSMmedia.com, and our shows, Sports Corner, will be airing soon, probably within the next couple of weeks on CSRM media.com website. First, Fan First Sports Network, Galaxy Sports, Let's Talk Sports, Sideline Sports, the South Florida Tribune, Steel City Sports World, and TGI Sports Network. Those are our national sponsors. And also, today's show, as always, is dedicated to my late father, Ralph Williams II, and my nephew, Sean Negley Jr. Today, this show is dedicated special to Jerry Hazlitt. Those of you who don't know who Jerry Hazlitt is, he was a longtime coach at Alderdice High School for the Pittsburgh City League. He passed away abruptly, 59 years old. Jerry Hazlitt passed away this week. Today's show will be dedicated to Jerry Hazlitt, former coach of the Alderdice Dragons in the Pittsburgh City League and a Hall of Fame high school coach. Smokin Jim, welcome to the program. How are you today?
Hey, thanks, Ralph. I'm ready for this one.
All right. It's been a great day for me today. I got a new bed. I got a new van. And now we're here for the show. So you know what? It's a great day for me today. And despite the fact that it's raining outside, you know, it's a great day here for Sports Corner and a great day to be on the air. So, you know, all right. But Smokin Jim later on, 7 o'clock, Smokin Jim will be on Bethel Park TV. He will be on with Al Levine, the Talking Machine, in the Pittsburgh Sports Line show. Talk about that a little bit, Smokin Jim.
Yeah, I think we got Chip Hayner on this week, and the VIP of BPTV, Nick Harry Callis, will be on. So it'll be a lot of baseball
with the Bethel Park
today,
Minute. With the Bethel Park Minute. Anyway, all right. Anyhow, also today, but anyway, my rant today is Pitt football. You know, Pat Narduzzi's in his 10th season. How can you be in your 9th season last year? This is his 10th this year. In your 9th season and go 3-9. How do you do it? Well, Pat Narduzzi did it last year. After 2 great seasons of winning 20 games, then he makes a statement in a press conference this week going, well, we thought because we won 20 games, we were better than everybody else, and we had to get a reality check with 3-9. You've been coaching for 9 years, Pat Narduzzi. You mean to tell me that you can't come up with a better statement than that to make at the ACC media event that you did this hit? All right. So you embarrassed yourself on top of all that. And that's my rant for today. That's Ralph's rant. Smokin Jim's wisdom.
Hey, thanks, Ralph. What a great run, man. 38 years with PCTV. I was part of it for 25 years. And
yes.
What a great article that the Tribune Review did. They mentioned 3 of the top shows on PCTV, and I was part of 2 of them, Steel City Sports World and the Boxing Authorities. And I think that Sports Corner, given a chance, would have been the #1 show in the history of BPTV. What a great run. Too bad it had to end.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so anyway, but yeah, okay, good. I was checking in with a guest who was checking in with me about what time they need to be on. So there we are there. All right, and I want to show everybody something today. I got some brand new here, and I'm going to get some more of them, and I'm going to show everybody here today my brand new Sports Corner pen. I got about 10 of them, and I'm going to get more of them soon. Smokin' Jim, as soon as I catch up with you, you'll get a Sports Corner pen. And it has our show emblem on it, the day and time, and everything that we're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch platforms. We're no longer on Twitter X because Elon Musk is a greedy pig and wants to charge me, money every month. So forget that. So, all right. We're also today, our studio sponsor, as always, is Mata Heating and Air Conditioning, 724-2010-500. Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. Call them today. Is your air conditioner on the whack? We still have another month of summer to go before school gets back. And so call Mata today, 724-2010-500. All right. Our first guest for today is coming up right now, Kevin Kinder, who covers the West Virginia Mountaineers. And Kevin is brought to you today by Keystone Coach Works. Look, I'm handicapped. I'm in a wheelchair. I got tired of my wife breaking her back putting my wheelchair into the vehicle. So I went out and I got myself a wheelchair accessible van. I just picked it up today. And guess where I got it from? Keystone Coach Works, right on Route 88, Library Road in Bethel Park. Call them today, 412-833-1900, and ask for Dawn. Look, they have the best selection of vans, low mileage, and the best prices in town. Keystone Coach Works. If you're in a wheelchair as I am and you need a van, call and ask for Dawn at Keystone Coach Works, 412-833-1900. And that's the sponsor for our guest, Kevin Kinder. Kevin, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks. Good to be with you all today. Feeling a little pressure in the leadoff position, but hopefully I'll get us started right.
Hey, that's okay. That's the way I had to do it. I mean, some people, they want to come on certain times and things like that. Busy people, that kind of thing. So I'm just happy to be able to book all these guests.
Great lineup today.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Kevin, tell us a little bit about what's going on with West Virginia football for this upcoming season. What are they looking like this year? I know the conference has changed a little bit. What's going on this year?
All right. From the inside, it's kind of an uptick. Obviously, finished off the season with a bowl win. It took some of the pressure off the coaches and the program a little bit. So West Virginia is really hoping to build on that season a year ago. Could they get to double-digit wins this year? That's going to be a tall task because although Texas and Oklahoma are gone from the Big 12, as you mentioned, some good programs came in, and it's a really balanced league. I think there's a couple teams that are probably a little bit of a favorite. Utah, Oklahoma State looks pretty good. I like Kansas State a lot, but there aren't many easy outs either. There's a couple that aren't great, but I think there's going to be some really competitive games, but that should have fans excited across the league. I think it's going to be a very interesting season.
Oh, yeah, you got Mike Gundy in Oklahoma State there. He dyed his hair. I still laugh at that. So anyway, but you got Oklahoma State, as you mentioned. You got some new teams involved in the conference this year. Where do you see this conference going, Kevin, beyond this year?
Wow. Just with the way all of college sports are going, could they add more schools? If the ACC breaks up, I think I think Big 12 is definitely going to be interested in that to, add a couple teams at least. But as far as, where the competition is right now, I think it's in a really good spot. It's the best basketball league in the country. Women's basketball is really good. Baseball isn't SEC level, but a lot of good teams in there. Football, I think they've got to prove it on the field this year. There's several games, especially some of the non-conference games, that this league needs to win or play really well in to get some more national attention. It has a chance to be right there. Again, is it going to be SEC level? No, but battling it out with the ACC and the others that are trying to, move up a little bit in the pecking order, I think the Big 12 can do that.
All right. Smokin' Jim, any questions for Kevin?
Hey, not to switch lanes on you, but something that you may not know is that the biggest surprise in Steeler camp right now is Benny Bishop. They say it's unbelievable right now, and he's looking to start and hold on to that position. So I know that probably doesn't surprise you.
Well, I'm going to say maybe a little bit, and great for that update. We definitely follow West Virginia's players as they move on to the pro ranks. We expected Zach Frazier to compete, be in the
Right.
mix, be there on the line. Beanie really, I don't want to say he came out of nowhere, but, he transferred into West Virginia last year. WVU needed a lot of help in the defensive secondary, and he came on and was just a playmaker at a level that he hadn't been at any of the previous stops. Had a punt return for a touchdown in the bowl game, was just really good across the board. So you're thinking, okay, he did it in college. Now, can he stick a spot, in the pros and get there? And like you said, he's been doing really well. And, that's another thing that, of course, WVU, like all colleges, are going to point to and say, hey, come here. You can play here. We'll help you get into the pros. And so far, he's been taking advantage of that.
All right, we're talking with Kevin Kinder, who covers the West Virginia Mountaineers on our college football special. Get you ready for the season. Season's coming up soon here at the end of August. The season's getting ready to start up here. We're doing a special local West Virginia, Pitt, and Penn State. Kevin covers West Virginia at 4:30. EMMITT Mahan from the Draft Nation, formerly known as Draft 412, will be here to talk to us about Penn State. Jerry DePaola from the Tribune Review to talk with us about Pitt. Kevin, we were talking before we came on the air about Neil Brown. There were rumors last year he was walking on eggshells. Is that true or is that not true?
There was a little bit of pressure there. I think some of that gets overblown, like a lot of those stories do. One person will write something and others will pick up on it. If West Virginia had had another bad season, then the pressure would have really been on this year. Don't know if he would have been fired after last year. I don't get the indication of that, but he would have really been on the hot seat this year. That didn't happen. They turned it around. They won some close games, and you just got a better feel from watching the program that it was more solid. It wasn't a top 10 program yet, but, you felt like it was in any game. They played Penn State reasonably well. Got the win over Pitt, which is important to West Virginia fans. There's just a lot of things that in watching that team, you saw the progress. And that's the story for this year, too. Will there be another step? Can it get to a little bit better bowl? Can it compete for a third or fourth place finish, or maybe even get to the Big 12 championship game if everything breaks right? Those are the storylines for this year. But I think Neil Brown answered a lot of questions last year. Zero pressure on him this year.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. Yeah, well, I know one season will save your job, and I think last year's season saved his job. 2 years ago, I was at the Pitt, West Virginia game. I had one alum sitting to the right of me, and I had some drunks sitting to the left of us when my wife and I went to the West Virginia game there. Obnoxious, loud, screaming, hollering, you know what I mean? A typical football game. I'm used to it by now. But, and then to the right, I had some folks from the alum. They said that Neil Brown's job was on the line, and that was even then they were talking about that. So I'm glad that he was able to do something this year with this. What is the recruiting class looking like for them this year?
This year's recruiting, it looks kind of like last year's. There's a mix of good high school players, a couple of really highly regarded guys. For West Virginia right now, the key is in the transfers that they get to fill gaps. They've gotten more transfers for the defensive secondary, which was something of a problem last year. They've got some help at linebacker. They got some help at wide receiver. So, they're filling those gaps. That was a key last year in making some of those improvements. And for a program like West Virginia that may not be able to hang on to every player that it gets, it's going to see players exit just like most schools do. It's got to get some people to come in and improve and fill those holes. That's going to tell the story, I think, again, for this year. You have guys like Jaden Bray, transfer from Oklahoma State, wide receiver that was really good. Ty French, player that a lot of people may not know a lot about. He came from Gardner Webb, but has really good reviews from a lot of coaches that went up against him. So it's guys like that. Aiden Garnes, who came from Duquesne, actually, a local area player. Yeah, was really good at Duquesne. Those players, they can fill roles and be good. They will make a difference for West Virginia this year.
All right, Smokin' Jim, any more questions for Kevin?
Yeah, I do. Kevin, probably the most heralded player from this area since Terrell Pryor was Rodney Gallagher. Do you guys have high hopes for him this year? Is he still trying to find his way?
Interesting story there. Finding his way might be a good description and maybe at a different spot. He came in really highly rated as a wide receiver, but hadn't played a lot of wide receiver in high school. He had played quarterback, kind of smartly. His high school wanted to get the ball in his hands and just let him create. And coming into West Virginia last year, got the ball a little bit, made some plays. But this year, because they need help in the secondary, they're looking at him some at defensive back as a cornerback. So could he be a two-way player that spots up both ways? Definitely. And I think that's just because of his athletic ability, which, everybody recognizes that it's really elite. So kind of a different angle to look at him from this year. He could be a guy that you see on both sides of the ball.
Wow.
All right. Kevin Kinder's with us. Excuse me for a moment here. Kevin Kinder's with us talking about West Virginia football. And Kevin, thank you for being part of the program today. I really appreciate it. And we'll have you come on again next year for the football extravaganza that we always have here on Sports Corner. Sorry that we're not on the radio anymore, but we're on social media. So, but anyway.
Sounds good.
Me.
Oh, no, that's always good. And looking forward to another season. It's always good when West Virginia gets to play Pitt and Penn State, amps up the local interest. Looking forward to that this year.
Yeah, I can't wait for the backyard brawl. I'm interested to see what's going to happen there. I'm trying to see if I can get my credentials for Acrisure Stadium this year, so we'll see what goes on. All right, Kevin, thank you for being part of the program. Have yourself a great one. Thanks, as always, and enjoy your season. Thank you.
Thanks to you, and thanks to Smokin' Jim also. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you. That was Kevin Kinder, who covers West Virginia football, here to talk with us about West Virginia. We're taking your comments. I have some mailbag here, Smokin' Jim. This is Harry from Cannonsburg. He says, Ralph, he says, you and Smokin' Jim do a really good job of the show. Thank you for having somebody on from West Virginia to talk about the football team. Harry, I appreciate that as well. Thank you. And it's always great to have the some of our mailbag people on here as well. All right, when we come back after these words, we're going to have Smokin' Jim's boxing report, and then Smokin' Jim and I are going to break down West Virginia, talk a little bit about Pitt and Penn State, and get our opinions on what they're going to do this year before our guests come on. Talk a little bit about the ACC conference and a whole lot more on our college football special right after these words. What do you want to talk about? Well, today I want to talk about Super 8 by Wyndham Grove City. 724-221-7941. Call them today for a great stay at the Super 8 by Wyndham Hotel. Great hospitality, great personalities, and I got to tell you, the room was clean, the price was right, and if you're going to visit the Grove City outlets or if you're going to visit Erie, this hotel is for you. It's the Super 8 Grove City by Wyndham, 724-221-7941. Tell them Ralph Williams sent you. Do you want great draft coverage, great draft information? Do you want it all about any draft? NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL. Let me talk to you today about Draft Nation. Yes, Draft Nation has the best coverage of all drafts, NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL, anything connected with the draft. And they also have an e-magazine that they'll put in your inbox, $9.99 a month. DraftNation.com. Check them out today. Ralph Williams here today to talk to you about Allied Powers Wrestling Federation. Allied Powers Wrestling Federation is a great independent wrestling company owned by promoter Bubba Brewer, who has been on Wrestle Talk shows with me, Ralph Williams, and Smokin Jim Frazier. Well, their next event is coming up August 24th at the Castle in Johnstown. For some great independent professional wrestling, come on August 24th, bell time, 7 p.m. Get your tickets on AlliedPowersWrestlingFederation.com. And please don't forget, Sports Corner show with Ralph Williams, Smokin Jim Frazier is a sponsor of all Allied Wrestling Federation events, and also will be at this event as well as all of Allied Powers Wrestling Federation events. Head out to Johnstown, to the Castle, August 24th, 7 p.m. bell time, Allied Powers Wrestling Federation. All right, we're back here, Sports Corner, Ralph Williams, Smokin Jim Frazier, every Tuesday, live on YouTube, Facebook, and and Twitch platforms. Soon we're going to be having our own Roku channel, and we're going on CRSMmedia.com's website, and my RW Media Productions website is coming back. It'll be back shortly. I have somebody crafting one together for me. I just spoke to them yesterday, and they're just about finished. They just showed me the whole outline of everything. And so real soon here, we're going to have the website as well back up and running again. We're in the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studio, 724-2010-500. Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. Okay, Smokin Jim, your boxing report. What's boxing looking like these days?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Terrence Crawford he's the pound for pound best fighter out there in the world. And he has he's moving up to 154 pounds to win that belt from 147. But he already had a knockout this week, man, on WWE Raw, man. He knocked out A-Town down. He got in the ring, man. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I saw it. Yes.
Threw a perfect right hand, man. So a week early before his fight, man, he's already knocking people out. So it should be a great showing in California this Saturday, August 3rd.
All right. Yeah. What do you think of the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight? That's starting to get heated up a little bit after his fight with Perry. What are your thoughts on that?
Anywhere between 2 and 6, Jake Paul knock him out.
There you go. Well, they've said that he's going to knock him out. I've also been told. I'm one of them people too that think Mike Tyson's going to teach him a little bit of a lesson. So we'll see how that works out there as well. But also Bon Journey, our friends of the show here, Bon Journey, the Bon Jovi Journey tribute band's playing Thursday, August 1st. That's this Thursday, 7:30 p.m. at the historic Port Steuben at 133rd Street. It's some kind of a theater or an art place. It's kind of like Carnegie Museum of Art, and then next to it they have a little hall. Well, it's kind of like that over in Oakland. It's called the Historic Port Steuben, 133rd Street, Steubenville, Ohio, this Thursday, August 1st, 7:30 p.m. All right, Smokin Jim, we have our next guest, EMMITT MAHON. EMMITT is going to be talking with us about the Penn State Nittany Lions. EMMITT, welcome to the program. Thank you for being part of the show.
Good afternoon, Ralph. Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure.
All right, EMMITT, tell us a little bit about yourself, because you haven't been on since last year to talk Penn State football. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're with Draft Nation and doing something down in the Carolinas there.
Yes, I am. I'm the senior writer for Draft Carolina, covering everything down there. The Panthers, the Hornets, the Hurricanes, all of the college basketball, college football, college soccer, all sorts of different things. We had our first event in conjunction with the NFL draft down at Ink and Ivy in Charlotte. We had a whole host of great NFL legends and former players led by Hall of Famer Joe DeLamalore, who joined us, and a name familiar to Pittsburgh fans, Steve Israel, who was
Oh,
also
yes.
a
Yes.
great guy, just a wonderful guy, and was just on a podcast with Joe. Those of you familiar, Joe 412 and myself had
Right.
about a week and a half ago had a great podcast with Steve. I just put up some fresh articles on the Charlotte Hornets off-season works, and I just did and the Carolina Hurricanes. And I've got some stuff going up about the MLB trade deadline and how it's impacting the AAA teams in Charlotte, which is the Charlotte Knights,
Right.
AAA of the White Sox, and the iconic Durham Bulls, who are the AAA team of Tampa, who've been very active. As you mentioned, I also still do some off and on work for Draft Nation, including Penn State. They have Media Day this coming Saturday. So I'm actually right now, I'm at my alma mater, the Harvard of the Laurel Highlands St. Vincent College. As you can see, our lovely little
Yeah, there you go.
camp water cooler. I'm up here taking in a little bit of the first day of padded practice, but also doing some alumni relations and doing some, St. Vincent is one of our initial sponsors of Draft Nation. So I'm just checking in and letting folks know what's new and exciting with Draft Nation.
All right, Smokin Jim, say hello to Emmett.
Hey, Emmett, how you doing, buddy?
Great to hear from you, Smokin Jim. Been too long. Doing well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Emmett. I know that I have you on here to talk about Penn State, but since you mentioned you're at training camp with the Steelers, bring us up to speed on what happened today at the padded practice.
Well, I guess the biggest takeaway, the one that's going around, is third-round pick Roman Wilson got banged up on a jet sweep and was taken off to the sideline. They were checking his hip and his back, probably a hip pointer. Probably got a helmet on the hip. Didn't appear too serious, but I haven't heard any other updates. Russell Wilson did get on the field today, so that's kind of breaking news. As expected, whenever you have these practices that are open to the public, you get a lot of stretching, you get a lot of ball control, a lot of the line working on their snaps, your pre-snap reads and getting off the line. You're not going to get a lot of meat and potatoes with a lot of prying eyes out there. And especially for the first day in pads, they're not going to go flying around, hitting each other at full speed.
All right, Emmett. Smokin Jim, you have any questions for Emmett about Steeler training camp?
No, I think he answered all those, but I do have a quick question about Penn State. Emmett, are you excited about starting the season off against West Virginia University at Mountaineer Stadium?
I'm excited in the sense that this thing could really go either way. I absolutely give West Virginia at least a puncher's chance. Playing down in Morgantown is not easy for any team, but when you've got a team that with the history that those two programs have, the home team's going to be a little amped up. They're going to remember last year where they gave Penn State quite a game for the first half. They really had Penn State on their heels at times, but the Nittany Lions came out of the locker room the second half and kind of stepped on the accelerator. So I'm sure there's some long memories at West Virginia. It would not surprise me one little bit if the Mountaineers walk away with a victory.
Yeah, you know what? We're gonna. Yeah, I mean, how is Penn State looking this year, Emmett? Tell us a little bit about what's going on. What do you think they're going to do this year? Is James Franklin on the hot seat up there? I know they wanted him to get to some major big time bowls, and he hasn't done it, and he's been there all this time and all that. I'm hearing those stories. What's going on up there?
He's on the lukewarm seat. Let me put it that way. The alumni expectations are, to be brutally honest, probably a little unrealistic. There are probably about 190 programs that would kill to be 10-2 every year, go to a New Year's Six bowl game, consistently have top 15 recruiting classes, but they understand that they want they want to see victories over Ohio State and Michigan, and Michigan on the schedule this year, and they want to see bowl performances that are a little more even, if not superior. So, short of maybe a one-loss season and a college football playoff win, there's going to be grumbling. But again, I know the latest complaint among Nittany Nation is that Franklin didn't have a great year in terms of Pennsylvania recruits. However,
Right.
the last 3 years, he cleaned up the state. He had the number one player the last 3 years. And just in the last couple of days, he got the number one player for the 26 class. The 25 class is actually pretty good. They're getting guys from California, Texas, Florida. And,
Wow.
I know this won't sit well, particularly in Western Pennsylvania, but those areas have higher caliber high school players. So if you lose a couple of players from Pennsylvania and you're getting them from Texas and California, he pulled last year, he pulled a guy right out of Alabama. So, he had an off year in Pennsylvania, but across the country, he had a good year. You've got the new expanded Big Ten. So that's going to be a whole interesting set of storylines.
All right. Smokin, Jimmy, have any more questions for Emmett?
Emmett, how good is your running back, Singleton and Allen?
Really good, and they also have let me pull his name up real quick. They have a true freshman on there that he was one of the few bright spots in the blue-white game, which, like I mentioned with the Steeler practice, those things are so vanilla. But he looked really good. The redshirt freshman, he was the number one recruit out of Pennsylvania for the 24 class. Guy's got speed to burn, and he looked really good. They've got another couple of kids in the 25 class that are high-ranked running back. Running back is the least of the problems of Penn State. I'm guessing, depending on who gets the bulk of the carries, either Singleton or Allen is probably out the door next year, and then the other one will be the bell cow moving forward.
All right. Emmett, how's the lines of scrimmage looking this year for Penn State? Do they have? They always pump out some good defensive linemen and some good offensive linemen. Is it looking that way still this year?
It is absolutely looking that way. And one of the big off-season stories was the move from outside linebacker to edge rusher, all-world athlete Abdul Carter. So he's now going to take over the Chop Robinson position. And on the other side is going to be a junior who will be a 3-year starter, Dennis Sutton, who's an absolute wrecking ball. So they're going to be really tough off the edges, especially in Tom Allen's 5-2-4 defense. So they're going to get a lot of sacks. They're going to get a lot of pressure. They're going to put they're going to make quarterbacks a lot of pretty uncomfortable, which will be important early on the season because you have two new cornerbacks. Kalen King went to the Packers in the 5th round of the draft,
Right.
and Johnny Dixon was an undrafted free agent. So Cam Miller, a lot of the responsibility, he's going to be the primary shutdown corner. And then you still have really good safeties in Zachy Wheatley and Kevin Winston Jr. But yes, it'll start with those 4 guys up front, 4 or 5 guys up front. Then you still have some really nice linebackers in the middle. Kalen King's brother, Kobe King, will be in the middle. Really sharp guy. True sophomore Tony Sanchez. Expect him to make a real name for himself, if not early on by mid-season. That he's a star in the making. And then just a lunch pail guy in Dom DeLuca, who is you look at it, you look at his measurables, and you look at him warming up. And you think, what is this guy doing on a starting rotation? And then every time you look down, he's right by the football.
All right, we have EMMITT MAHON with us from Draft Nation, Draft Carolina, joining us to talk about Penn State football. He's live from Steeler training camp in Latrobe, Pennsylvania at St. Vincent College. We're in the MAHON Heating and Air Conditioning Studio, 724-2010-500. Call MAHON today. Ask for Bill. Tell Bill Ralph Williams sent you. And EMMITT is also brought to you by Draft Nation, who happens to have their own website, draftnation.com. And don't forget to tune into their shows on there as well. And also, they have a e-magazine, $9.99 a month, and they put it in your email. And it's the best bargain for all your draft information that you need of any draft, draftnation.com. All right, Smokin' Jim, you have any more questions for EMMITT?
No, sir. All
right. EMMITT, what's the special teams looking like for Penn State this year and the rest of the team itself, the offense as a whole and the defense and the special teams?
The special teams are in pretty good shape in that they have both their place kicker and their punter back. Okay. Riley Thompson, I believe he's a 5th-year senior, and Sanders Sadehak is the place kicker. So that's some stability that they haven't necessarily had in the past. And the big thing that they're going to be looking for in special teams is to replace the presence of Curtis Jacobs, who was an absolute holy terror on special teams. He was a very good linebacker. He ended up signing a free agent deal with Kansas City, and I think Kansas City, it would not shock me if he made the 53-man roster, and if you didn't see his name being mentioned frequently on Sundays, especially with the new kickoff rules. So they're pretty good special team-wise, but you know the deal. Anytime you're dealing with kickers and punters, they say that kickers and punters are people too. Yeah, they're people too. They're just not football players. So,
yeah, that's what they always say. Yeah, they pick off Pat McAfee about that because he was the next punter. They always say, "Oh, you were nothing but a punter." Yeah. Because you got guys in wrestling like Baron Corbin who played on the line, and you got some other guys who were once into football and they played on the line or they played in different positions, and they always pick on Pat McAfee about being a punter. So I guess I understand what you mean by that.
And you can even see it up here in Latrobe. The punters and kickers have their own little field, and they kind of do their own thing. And the managers bring out their sparkling water and pat down their foreheads, and
they probably get steak dinners and baked potatoes.
Yeah, exactly. So again, special teams are always a wild card, but the offense, as everyone knows, it's going to rise and fall on Drew Allard. And how quickly he adapts to offensive coordinator Cole Nicky's spread system.
Right.
It should be a lot more downfield things, which should benefit him because he's got an amazing arm. And I think his system will allow a lot more incorporation of Bo Prabula, who's from my neck of the woods in York, Pennsylvania. And I think you might see more, for lack of a better term, wildcat, where both of them are on there. The big thing with Aller, if you really looked at him last year, it was mental. The physical
Right.
gifts are all there. If he puts it upstairs, puts it all together upstairs, he could find himself in the first round next spring in the draft because he's got that much talent. The big question mark, and it goes back to recruiting, is the wide receivers. The wide receivers just never got open. I don't know how much of it was scheme and how much of it was lack of talent, but they just brought back Julian Fleming, who was a 5-star recruit, again from north central Pennsylvania, that was at Ohio State, and he came over as a grad transfer. Seems to have taken a leadership role. If he can take the top off of the offense and let some of the guys work underneath, that'll make Aller's life a lot better. And of course, Iowa is tight end U, but an honorable mention goes to Penn State.
Penn State has had some good tight ends over the years that have come out of the program. I mean, one of them's a Pittsburgh Steeler, Pat Freiermuth. So, I mean, and I remember we drafted that one kid back in the day in the last round. I forget his name. We drafted him, about 10 years ago or something. I think he got cut or something, but, he was a good blocking tight end that we drafted in the last round. And, so there's been some guys tight end wise with Penn State that have worked out over the years.
Yeah, there's last year's incumbent Theo Johnson got drafted by my New York Giants. He's going to get a ton of time up there, but Warren, as they call him, Mr. Whiteout, because he scores at least one touchdown every time they have a whiteout game. He came back for his last year of eligibility. He's gonna do very well, and if again, for what it's worth, the blue-white game was any indication, Khalil Dinkins, the son of Darnell Dinkins, out of I think North Allegheny, he's going to be a big integral part. And then Rapalia, the redshirt freshman, could be the breakout star of the tight end group.
Well, that's good. Emmett, thank you for being part of the program. And I always want to thank Draft Nation for their help with our shows. And we always have you guys on here as well. And for the invitations to the Draft Nation draft parties for the NFL draft. And good luck with your Carolina setup down there. I've been to North Carolina. I know that they love their college football down there. Duke, North Carolina State. Also, with Wake Forest, all that down there, so it's an interesting Clemson. It's a really interesting place down there for that. My Coastal Carolina, I like Coastal Carolina over the years. So,
good baseball program. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Coastal Carolina's come a long way over the years. So they were always my favorite underdog team there. So, all right, Emmett, thank you for being part of the program. Any final words for Emmett there, Smokin' Jim? Smokin' Jim, you there?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. I want to thank you, Ralph, and Smokin' Jim, for having me on. It's always a pleasure to talk sports with you. Again, if you go to Draft Nation, we got plenty of content there. If you go to the 3-line menu bar at the top right of the page, you click down. There's podcasts. You can catch my podcast stuff. And then there's a Draft Carolina tab. You can go and read all of my articles that I have up there on Draft Carolina. Want to thank St. Vincent College, class of '86, for accommodating me, finding me a place to set up shop so that we can make this happen. But always a pleasure, Ralph. I always look forward to the invitation to come on.
All right. No problem, Emmett. Emmett MAHON, who joins us, who was here to talk with us about Penn State football and also to talk about his work with Draft Carolina. and also a little bit about the Steelers. He's at training camp at Latrobe. Smokin' Jim, your thoughts on what Emmett had to share with us?
I tell you what, man. Boy, did he cover a lot of ground in a short period of time.
Yes, he does. Yes.
But I would be interested in hearing further, because I heard that Roman Wilson got carted off the field. So I'm glad Emmett was saying it didn't look too serious.
Yeah, we need Roman Wilson. I
don't know why they're tackling the guy. You know, in practice like that. But he was having a great camp, and this is going to be a setback at a position that you can't afford to have any setbacks. So you already had the quarterback pushing a blocking sled like he's an offensive center, and he hurt his calves.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know what? I agree with Double M, and, you know, I don't agree with him too much. And I think you know who I mean. He says that the strength coach should be fired for that. I can't understand how in the world you have a quarterback working on a sled. I mean, usually that's the offensive lineman, defensive lineman, linebacker, you know, that kind of thing. It's not for the quarterback at heart. I mean, even sometimes the running back, I believe, even running backs even run or use that sled, but a quarterback. I mean, you know, I guess maybe Mike Tomlin's trying to make everybody tougher, stronger, and faster. Remember that from over the last couple of years, you know? So, you know, but anyway, Smokin' Jim. All right. When we come back after these words, we're going to have some more of our college football talk. Smokin' Jim and I are going to break down some of the conference stuff going on here. The Ray Crew will join us later on. No relation to Paul Crew from the Mean Machine, I don't think. But anyway, he's going to join us later on at 5:30 to talk about the ACC conference. As you know, Pitt is in the ACC. 5 o'clock, we'll be joined by Jerry DePaula, who will talk with us about the Pitt football program. You heard my rant earlier. If you did, you'll catch it later on when we put this on YouTube. And also, don't forget to catch us on Facebook and Twitch as well. All right, when we come back after these words, more Sports Corner. Ralph Williams here to talk to you today about Alex's Flowers. Alex's Flowers at 1742 Chislett Street in Morningside. Call 412-661-6071. Best wedding arrangements, funeral arrangements, any kind of an arrangement for any kind of purpose. Call Alex today. That number again, 412-661-6071 or alexsflowers.com. Tell him Ralph Williams sent you. Alex's Flowers, for the best 30 years of experience in doing flower arrangements. Alex's Flowers. Ralph Williams here. I'm handicapped. I'm in a wheelchair. And you know something? I need a different type of a vehicle. And if you're in the position that I'm in and you need a different type of a vehicle, such as a wheelchair accessible van that you can put your wheelchair power chair in, well, guess what? I have the solution for you. Keystone Coach Works on Library Road, Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, or you can call them today at 833-1900. That's 833-1900. Give them a call today or get on their website and check out their selection of some of the best models of wheelchair vans that they have. Not only can you own, but you can rent and you can finance. Keystone Coach Works does it all for you, and they are the best at what they do. And they've been around a long time. So give Dawn a call. Ask for Dawn, 833-1900, and tell Dawn that Ralph Williams sent you. Keystone Coach Works, for the best in wheelchair accessible vans. All right. Have you ever heard the old saying, taken to the cleaners? Have you ever been thought about being taken to the cleaners when it comes to getting your car fixed? Well, I have a place to get your car fixed, and it's in West Mifflin near the Allegheny County Airport. Call Big Dog Auto. Call Big Dog Auto today and head over there to West Mifflin near the county airport and ask for John at Big Dog Auto, 412-999-0191. That's 412-999-0191. Big Dog Auto handles brakes, inspection, and a whole lot more. So give them a call today for all your service needs. Great service, great price, and they will not take you to the cleaners. Big Dog Auto. All right, we're back here at Sports Corner with me, Ralph Williams, Smokin, Jim Frazier. We're here every single Tuesday, 4 to 6 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch platforms. Okay, Smokin Jim, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the conferences here. We spoke about the MAC conference the last time, a few weeks back, and we're going to get into a few other conferences today. And later on, Ray Crew will join us. He's the president of the ASAP Sports Network, who happens to have a lot of, or who happens to be one of our sponsors here with Sports Corner as well. All right, let's get into a little bit about the AAC conference there, Smokin Jim. You ready for the AAC? Who's your pick in the AAC this year? We have Memphis. It looks like they're rated number 1 to take the conference again this year. Tulane also had a pretty decent season. South Florida Bulls, the University of Texas El Paso, UTSA, also Army, West Point, and Navy, the midshipmen. Also are involved University of Alabama Birmingham, who's coached by Trent Dilfer, and the North Texas Mean Green. Also Rice Owls, the Florida Atlantic Owls, the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes, Charlotte 49ers, East Carolina Pirates, Temple Owls. Your thoughts on the AAC?
I got to say Memphis should take it. It should be pretty competitive, but I look for Memphis to win it.
All right, yeah, I think the AAC is looking pretty tough again this year. They have some new schools that they've added. Of course, now with the way conferences are being structured now, Smokin Jim, it's sort of a shuffling in and out kind of thing with some of these conferences. And so I believe that it's going to be an interesting year for college football this year as we cover all the conferences here. All right, let's get into the Big Ten a little bit. We just had Emmett Mahan on, and I forgot to ask him about that. But your thoughts on the Big Ten? You think Ohio State dominates Michigan? What do you think they're going to do without Jim Harbaugh? Your thoughts on the Big Ten?
You got to watch out for USC. USC is part of the Big Ten now.
Oregon Ducks too. Oregon is. You got to watch out for them. You got to watch out for a few other teams in Michigan. I don't know. Maybe they might take a step back this year based on the fact that they, lost their coach Jim Harbaugh. And we in Iowa, I don't know about Kurt Ferentz. Has he still got it at Iowa or not? Nebraska, Matt Rule. We'll see what he does there. Wisconsin with Luke Fickell. It's going to be an interesting conference this year, I think, Smokin Jim. It's going to be a tough one. And, Rutgers, I don't know. They always manage to sneak up in there and get a bowl game. Washington, has joined the conference as well. You got Maryland, Michigan State, and UCLA's joined the conference. Your thoughts on UCLA?
I don't worry too much about UCLA. They may be good once every
50 years.
Yeah, but for the most part, the team that would concern me the most would be USC.
All right, let's get into the Big 12. All right, let's look at them. The Big 12, they've had some, add and subtract. Oklahoma State with Mike Gundy. He always puts out at least a decent team. Utah's in here. Utah hasn't done too bad over the last few years. Kyle Whittingham is still their coach there. Kansas with Lance Leopold. He's pulled out some upsets over the last few years as well. Kansas State Wildcats, their coach is Chris Gilliman. So, we'll see here. Arizona, Brent Brennan. It's his first year at Arizona. They haven't been relevant for a while. I can't even remember the last time they were relevant. Iowa State still has Matt Campbell, Dan Campbell's brother, still coaching down there. West Virginia, of course, we just spoke with Kevin Kinder. Texas Tech, TCU, UCF, This is going to be a the University of Central Florida. BYU joins the fray this year. Also, Houston's they have a new coach, Willie Fritz. As you know, Dana Hogerson, the drunk, has left. He's not there anymore. Cincinnati is in this conference. Scott Satterford's their head coach, former Louisville coach. Arizona State, they have their first-year coach, Kenny Billingham. He had to pick up where the NFL coach that was coaching down there, what's his name? Herm Edwards, had to pick up where he left off from what happened there. Your thoughts on the Big 12?
Well, West Virginia's in the Big 12 too, right?
Yes, they are. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's man, Houston and Cincinnati's always going to be good. You never know when BYU is going to pop up and be very good. But like you said, Arizona State sometimes come with a good program. But I would say, and like you said, Oklahoma State, you did a good job on that. But I would say between Houston and Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati, I think, is going to pick it up this year. They're new to the conference. They were in the AAC. Okay, let's go into the Conference USA. Liberty Flames. Jamie Chadwell is their head coach. He's 13-1 last year in his first year with Liberty. They were in another bowl game again this year. Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers, Tyson Heldon is he's been here for 5 years. He's got them at 40-26. Jacksonville State, guess who their coach is, Smokin' Jim?
Who's that?
Richie Rod.
Oh, really?
Richie Rodriguez, yeah. He was the first year last year, he was 9-4, and they were in a bowl game, believe it or not. So New Mexico State's Tony Sanchez, he's a familiar name. Sonny Gumbel, the coach down at Louisiana Tech, where we all know Terry Bradshaw and Troy Edwards came from there. So, we all know about that bum, Troy Edwards. I called it, Smokin' Jim, on my sports show on PCTV. Speaking of PCTV, on PCTV at that time, I said the Steelers are going to reach and they're going to take Troy Edwards, and I was right. So,
Wow.
Yeah, I was right. Middle Tennessee State, Blue Raiders, UTEP, University of Texas, El Paso, Sam Houston, Florida International. They haven't done too well since Lane Kiffin left from down there. Kennesaw State is in this conference as well. Your thoughts on the Conference USA?
Well, shoot. Let's go with Richie Rod,
Jacksonville State, yeah. Yeah, that's going to be.
Liberty's always going to have a good competitive program. Too.
Oh, they always do. Yes, they do. Liberty has had a competitive program for a little while now. And so Mountain West Conference, which is still in existence here, they have Boise State, who has, let's see where they are at here. They were overall, Spencer Danielson is their coach. He has a 3-1 record. I guess he took over part of last year. UNLV Rebels, Barry Odom is their coach down there at UNLV. Their offensive coordinator still is Brendan Marion. Remember him from Pitt? He was supposed to get the job and he didn't get it, and they ended up hiring somebody else for the offensive coordinator. They ended up hiring Frank Signetti. Brendan Marion was promised that job after Mark Whipple left, but he's with UNLV, and they're running a go offense down there. Air Force, Fresno State. Let's see here. Air Force is coached by Troy Calhoun. He's been with them for 17 years at Air Force. Fresno State's Jeff Tedford. We all know who he is. He's an offensive mind that's been around football. Jay Norvell, Colorado State. That's Mike Norvell's brother, who coaches for Florida State. Utah State, Blake Anderson is their coach. Mountain West Conference here. San Diego State always has a good football team. Their coach is Sean Lewis. Wyoming is coached by Jay John. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Jay Sovell. Hawaii. Hawaii can't find their way out of a paper bag. Timmy Chang is their their head coach down there. He's a former player. Coached by Fraud Graham. Remember him? Todd Graham, Smoking Jim? Yeah, he took over for Fraud Graham. So, all right, San Jose State. They didn't look too bad last year in Nevada. They always managed to sneak up in there. Jeff Choate is their head coach. New Mexico, their head coach is Bronco Mendenhall. Remember him? He was the coach at Virginia for a little while. Stepped away. I guess got tired of retirement, decided to come back. He is their coach at there as well. Your thoughts on the Mountain West real quick before we go to a break, before we get Jerry DePaula on.
Well, man, Air Force is in there, right?
Yes, they are.
Okay, Colorado State is always pretty good. So UNLV, I'll go with UNLV.
I think UNLV is going to do it again this year because they got Brendan Marion as their offensive coordinator, and they're running that go offense there. It seems to be working out for them. So, all right, when we come back after these words, our next guest will be Jerry DePaula to talk about Pitt right after these words. Ralph Williams here today to let you know that I am handicapped. I'm in a wheelchair, and I will not deny it. But I've had some recent inconveniences lately. So you know what I did? I went out and I reached out to foldandtravelmobility.com. Foldandtravelmobility.com has some of the best folding power wheelchairs. Look, do you not go to certain events because you can't get there or you can't make it because you need a folding power wheelchair to put in your vehicle? Well, guess what? Foldandtravelmobility.com has the right model for you. Get in touch with them today. Foldandtravelmobility.com. Get on the phone, 1-877-GOT-FOLD, foldandtravelmobility.com, 1-877-GOT-FOLD. Let the experts help you get into a folding power wheelchair. Don't be sad. Be glad. Let your life get back in order. Foldandtravelmobility.com. Hello, Ralph Williams here. What do you want to talk about? I want to talk about the original Hometown Pizza in Moon Township, right on University Boulevard, 412-264-4444. Some of the best pizza you'll ever have. And don't forget about their delivery, eat-in, or takeout. Call today, 412-264-4444. Tell them Ralph Williams sent you. You will get a discount on your order. The original Hometown Pizza, Moon Township, University Boulevard. Ralph Williams here. If you're interested in being a sponsor or an advertiser for any of our shows here, and also we do close to 8 podcasts. We're on the crsmmedia.com website. We're also here on social media, and we're soon to have our own Roku channel, and also we're going to be on Spotify. If you're interested in some sponsorship advertising at a reasonable price, call today, 412-545-4317. And we'll talk about some great advertising rates here. As you see, we've added some new sponsors to the show, and we're going to continue to do so as we move along with Sports Corner. All right, I'm back here at Sports Corner. Ralph Williams, Smokin, Jim Frazier. All right, now we're getting ready for our second hour of hour number 2 of Sports Corner. We welcome you if you just tuned in. We're doing a college football special. We just had Kevin Kinder on at 4 o'clock. Talking about WVU football, EMMITT MAHON, who talked with us about Penn State football and a little bit about Steeler training camp, because that's where he was broadcasting live from. And we've already had that twice in 2 weeks from training camp in Latrobe. All right, now we're going to have Jerry DePaula as our next guest from the Tribune Review. Covers Pitt football. Jerry, welcome to the show.
How you doing, Ralph? Good to hear from you.
All right, same here, Jerry. Thank you for being part of the show. Smokin, Jim, say hello to Jerry.
Hey, Jerry, appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Smokin, how you doing these days?
I'm doing great, sir.
All right.
Glad to hear it.
All right, Jerry, tell us a little bit about what can we expect this year from Pitt football as they get ready to go into training camp.
Well, Pat Narduzzi, tore up the offensive staff totally. He fired every coach except for Tyquan Underwood, the receivers coach who went to the Patriots. and then he brought in Cade Bell, from Western Carolina. He's going to run one of those speed in the fast lane offenses that Todd Graham ran in 2011. Except he's doing it. I believe he's smarter than Todd Graham, better play caller than Todd Graham, and he has better athletes to run that kind of offense. He brought in 3 different guys who played for him in Western Carolina: Raphael Williams, a wide receiver; C.J. Lee, a wide receiver; and Desmond Reed, a little bit 5'8" little guy who's going to play running back, and they're going to get him open in space to make big plays. So of course these guys did it well in Smokin' Jim against FCS competition. They've never done it against North Carolina or Clemson or West Virginia. So there's some question marks there. Anytime you change coaches and change your offensive system as drastically and dramatically as Pat Narduzzi has done, got to expect some growing pains. And you're going to have some maybe early in the season, and maybe later in the season they'll be playing better when their schedule gets a little bit tougher.
Yeah, absolutely. That always seems to happen with Pitt. I hope they don't lay an egg against Kent State or Youngstown State. I watched them lose to Youngstown State that time when Paul Christ took over as coach. And I'll never forget that game.
His first game.
The Ohio U game, when Dave Wannstedt's first year as coach, they lost to Ohio U. I remember that game. And I was at the game the year before, the last year of Walt Harris's regime. So I remember some of that stuff. And it was a hard transfer. I remember when Tyler Palko had to transfer over to the Dave Wannstedt style of offense, the entire running game and stuff, instead of the Walt Harris spread offense and West Coast offense type of stuff that he was running. Jerry, tell us a little bit about the quarterback situation. Is it in Yarnell's hand, Nate Yarnell's hands? Is it his job to lose?
Yeah, Nate Yarnell has been the starting quarterback probably since wintertime, and definitely in the spring. He's the guy. I mean, he's been handed the reins of the offense. He's started 3 games in his college career, just 3 games. He's 2-1. He beat Western Michigan, he beat Boston College, and he lost to Duke in the finale last year. But he seems to have the trust of the players. He seems to have a decent enough arm to get things done. And he has some playmakers around him. I think Pitt's going to have some good wide receivers in Kaneda Mumfield and Kenny Johnson, the sophomore from York, Pennsylvania. Of course, there's been a lot of talk, mostly from fans about Eli Holstein, who's the backup quarterback who went to Alabama right out of high school and transferred from Alabama to Pitt this past offseason. And a guy like that, you're Alabama, all of a sudden you think this guy is a 5-star recruit. Well, he had a great reputation in high school, didn't play at all at Alabama last year, got disenchanted, I guess, with the program there. Nick Saban left. Now he's at Pitt, but he's not going to be the starter right off the bat. But to tell you what, with the reputation he has, coming out of high school and coming out of the Crimson Tide, if Yarnell doesn't play well, the fans are going to be crying for Holstein. You can bet on that.
Absolutely. Smokin' Jimmy, have any questions for Jerry?
Yeah, Jerry, I tell you what, I'm excited about seeing this new offense, and I can't wait to see all the points being put up on the scoreboard. But I'm not excited about the schedule. It's hard to find a lot of wins in this schedule. They got a pretty tough schedule. What do you think a good goal should be? Reasonable goal as far as wins and losses this year?
I think if they win 8 games, go 8-4 in a regular season, it'll be a successful season. And when you change the way Pat Narduzzi changed everything, you can't expect to go 12-0 or 11-1 or maybe even 9-3. But I think 8-4 would be a good season, a very good season for them. I'm leaning more towards 7-5 actually. The season, the schedule is difficult. They open up against Kent State, that should be a win. But then they have to go to Cincinnati. Then they play West Virginia at home, and both of those teams beat Pitt last year.
Yes,
later on in the season, they play Clemson, and there's a sleeping giant there in SMU. They play them in Dallas. SMU, is moving to the ACC this year, along with Stanford in California. And SMU won the AAC last season, defending champion, with a really good quarterback. So maybe the best quarterback in
Jerry's breaking up a little bit there. I don't know what's going on. Well, No, there's Jerry there. Oh, he's still frozen there. He's frozen, Smokin' Jim. There you go. Smokin' Jim, your thoughts this year on Pitt?
Well, I'm excited about the new offense. Jerry saying 8-4, 7-5. I tell you what, man, if Pitt wins 5 games, I'd be happy for them. 6 games, but
Oh, there he
but
is.
if they could show improvement towards building for 2025.
All right, Jerry, we have you back here. So I'm sorry about that. I see you were frozen up there a little bit. So, All right, go ahead, Jerry. I'm sorry. I didn't hear the
No, I
rest.
was saying maybe you didn't hear it, but I was saying that SMU is a sleeping giant in the ACC, and that's going to be a difficult game for Pitt later on in the season. We also play at Louisville next to the last game of the season. Louisville, played in the ACC championship game last year. We also have to go to North Carolina. It's not going to be an easy schedule for Pat Narduzzi. There's winnable games on there, and they could win 7 or 8 games. But there's a lot of work to do in August when training camp starts tomorrow to get these guys acclimated to the new way of doing things, running plays. Because they're going to be snapping the ball between 12 and 15 seconds. It's one of those offenses where if you close your eyes and look to the scoreboard, you're going to miss something.
There. Yeah, I saw it at the spring game. Yeah, it was quick snaps, and it's going to be an interesting year. Of the other quarterbacks, other than the Eli Hornstein, the other quarterbacks behind him, how many are there now, Jerry? Was there about 6?
Yeah, they have a bunch. Ty Diefenbach is a recruit they got out of California a few years ago, and Julian Duggar, the Penn Hills kid, who's going to be a first-year freshman this year. Left-hander, I'm sure he won't play this year. I'm sure he'll be redshirted. But that's not a bad quarterback room, actually. They seem to like Diefenbach, who's another tall kid, like Yarnell, 6'6". And Duggar had a very good career at Penn Hills. Looks like a great athlete. Could probably play a lot of different positions besides quarterback. But between 4 and a couple walk-ons they have, there'll be enough balls flying around the south side on starting tomorrow.
What happened after the spring game? It looks like a lot of people just up and left and transferred and all that stuff.
Right.
I was surprised Deion Hayes left to go to Colorado. Is this NIL really, that effective that it's moving players like that?
Oh yeah, you're going to go to the highest bidder. Whether you're coming out of high school or you're already in college. If another school contacts you, they're not supposed to contact you till you're in the portal. But I don't think too many coaches, especially Deion Sanders, I wouldn't see too. That's where Deion Hayes ended up in Colorado. I don't think too many coaches, follow that rule. And it's almost like it's not almost like free agency. It is free agency. If you put your name in the portal, all of a sudden you're a free agent. You can go to whichever team you want to, and the school that offers you the most bling is going to get your services. And
services,
that's what happened with Solomon DeShields. Solomon DeShields, another linebacker who transferred to Texas A&M. Deion Hayes, a local kid from Westinghouse, was going to be the leader of a defensive end room. Decided to leave, and I guess things are better in Colorado than they are at Pitt as far as Deion Hayes is concerned. But it'll be interesting to see how his career develops because he has a chance to be a draft pick. And, I hope he didn't kill his chances by going up to Colorado where he, could get lost in the shuffle. But, at Pitt, he would have been a star, at least a starting defensive end. But, these kids get their heads turned and they end up going someplace else. And, they don't stick around anymore. That's why, a guy like Gavin Bartholomew, the tight end, had several chances.
Jerry broke up again, or he's froze up again, more or less. But he was talking about Gavin Bartholomew, Smokin' Jim, your favorite tight end, who actually could have walked away and didn't. Your thoughts on Gavin Bartholomew? You there, Smokin' Jim?
Yeah, I thought he was. We love him.
Yeah,
and I thought he was very, very underused. I thought he was a prototype tight end. I don't know in this new system whether he's going to see the football that much, but I tell you what, any NFL team that get him is going to get a real good player, man.
All right, we got Jerry back here. He rebooted, so Jerry's back with us. Jerry, you were talking about Gavin Bartholomew. Smokin' Jim and I were just talking briefly before you came back. Smokin' Jim's wondering, do you think he'll get the ball a little more this year?
I think so. I'm not sure why Frank Signetti, the former offensive coordinator, didn't get him the ball more often. Maybe he wasn't getting open. Maybe the quarterbacks weren't getting enough time to throw. Maybe the quarterbacks weren't good enough. Phil Jurkovic and Christian Veer really, were two of the worst quarterbacks in Pitt history. Recent Pitt history. Let's put it that way. I like Phil. He's a good kid, and Christian Veer was a good kid too. Just didn't work out. Christian Veer actually transferred to Georgia State. It'd be interesting to see how his career goes. And Jurkovic got to try it with the Steelers, but I don't think that worked out for him. But anyway,
he's gone already. No, wait, I'm sorry. He is working there. He's chief janitor. He's
that's a little rough, Ralph. Come on.
Yeah,
Phil's a good kid. He doesn't deserve that.
I'm just
Bartholomew had the opportunity. Bartholomew had the opportunity to make more money and go at other places to top programs, and he decided he wanted to stick by with his brothers. He said he didn't want to leave them stranded, and I think he's going to be a big part of the offense because K. Bell likes to move the ball around, and he's going to do it. And a big target, athletic target like Gavin Bartholomew, who has sights on the NFL, is going to be a guy that's going to be a big part of the Pitt offense this year, I think.
All right, tell us about the defense there, Jerry. I know the defensive line's been depleted a little bit. What's the word on the defense here this year?
Well, last year they were strong at cornerback with three guys who are now in the NFL and a little weaker at safety, at least not as experienced at safety. This year, they have the three safeties back, P.J. O'Brien, Javon McIntyre, and Donovan McMillan, who's going to be the leader of that crew, the recruit from transfer from Florida who came from Peters Township. Those three safeties are going to be probably three of the top safeties in the ACC. Cornerback's going to be a little weaker. Ryland Gandy is probably going to be one starter on one end, but none of the quarterbacks on Pitt's roster have much starting experience to speak of. They brought in Ty Lynham from Nebraska, but he only started one game out there. So I really think that the cornerback is going to be a position you're going to have to watch closely this year because those guys are talented, athletic, but not much experience, in top-notch college football. The guy they seem to like, from the transfer portal was Nate Matlack, defensive end from Kansas State. He's going to get an opportunity to rush the passer a little bit more than he got at Kansas State, and he should be a starter at one defensive end. And then I like Brandon George, the middle linebacker, in his sixth year at Pitt. And by the way, he decided to transfer from Pitt at the end of last season. And then 2 weeks later, he changed his mind, came back, and now he's a starting middle linebacker. So he's one guy to keep an eye on. I think he'll be another standout on defense. But they lost 5 starters to the transfer portal, and that's not an easy thing to recover from.
All right, breaking news here. In the trade deadline for baseball, the Pirates got Brian Dela Cruz. The Pirates were pursuing him. They got him, and according to MLB Network here, who just sent me something saying that they got this Brian Dela Cruz. I hope that it helps the Pirates out a little bit and gets them rolling for the rest of the season.
Who'd they give up, Ralph? Who'd they give up?
I'm going to find out right now. Here, hold on a second. All I know is they got Brian Dela Cruz, but I don't know who they gave up for him. All right, hold on. Let's see what we got here. I don't see anything from the Pirates themselves. I don't think it's been
not yet.
No,
he's an outfielder, right? He's an outfielder, right?
Yes, he is. Yeah, yeah. So
they need an outfielder, that's for sure. They had two guys got hurt last night. Yeah, they
acquired pitcher Josh Walker from the Mets, and then they traded for him, and then they got left-handed. He's a reliever, so that'll help their middle relief a little bit. And then let's see here, what else we got here. I don't see anything here on the Pirates website at this time, but Major League Baseball is reporting that we did get Brian Dela Cruz. So
they needed They needed to do that, and the Pirate fans should be happy they did.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's a good player. Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. All right, on the offensive side of the ball, we already talked about the running backs and what K. Bell's going to do. How's the offensive line looking this year, Jerry?
They've played before. There's some guys who got some good starting experience last year and the year before that. Branson Taylor and Ryan Baer will be at the bookend tackles. B.J. Williams started at guard as a freshman last year. He's the first PITT true freshman to start on the offensive line since Dorian Johnson in 2013. So he'll be expected to be a big contributor. And another guy, coming back this year is Ryan Jacoby, transfer from Ohio State, who was injured last year, was supposed to be a starter last year. He was injured in training camp and was lost for the season. He's back this year. So I think the offensive line is going to be not especially deep, but I think it's going to be good enough to give Nate Yarnell the time he needs to get things done.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, especially the quick snap offense. At least we won't have the lies we got from Fraud Graham. So there you are with that one. Smokin, Jim, you have any more questions for Jerry?
No, sir.
All right, Jerry, thanks for being part of the program. I appreciate you always being here. It's too bad we're still not on the radio, but or on TV, as a matter of fact. TV is shutting down at the end of August. And so, we're not going to be on TV like we were supposed to be. On Thursday, we were actually going to be live on BCTV. Sports Corner was going to be back on, but that's not going to happen now. But we're here. And we're moving on as we go along, Jerry. Thank you for being part of the program, Jerry, and have a great one. Thank you.
You guys have a great day. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
All right, thank you. That was Jerry DePaola from the Pittsburgh Tribune Review to talk about PITT. Coming up next, our next guest is going to be Ray Cruz from the ASAP Sports Network, and we're going to talk about the ACC conference, which Smokin, Jim, and I are going to indulge in a few moments here as well before Ray comes on. Smokin, Jim, your thoughts on PITT this year? What do you think about? I think this new offense. I'm interested to see a little bit more than what I saw at the spring game, of course. How they run this offense this year with the players they have.
Well, I'm excited to hear that they got some transfers from Western Kentucky,
Carolina, Western Carolina.
Yeah, Western Carolina. Yeah. Excuse me.
That's all right.
And they already had some pretty good wide receivers and Mims and some of these other guys. So I look for the offense to be high flying, man. But I don't look for, more than 5, 6 wins for PITT. So I don't know if it'll be another year without a bowl game or not. But I think the main thing, hey, when you lose 7 starters to the portal,
right,
and you fire your whole coaching staff
on the offensive side of the ball, and
the head coach still keeps his job and gets a raise.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm not sure about the sense of urgency to win. But I tell you what, man, as long as they look like they're building for 2025, I'd be happy with that. Just show me some exciting brand of football, show me some hustling, put some points on the board, and I would be happy with that.
Yeah, from what Jerry says, and my biggest concern, Smokin, Jim, was K-Bell's offense. Would he have the talent to run it for this year? And I gave some examples of when the first year Fraud Graham was here. He had flat-footed Tito Sinceri as his quarterback, and then and then he didn't last past one season, Fraud Graham. And then Dave Wanstad had changed over to the power running game, where Tyler Pelko was used to the high and flying Walt Harris offense there, and that was a changeover as well. So. And who knows what offense Johnny Majors was running? It was nothing because they didn't win anything, his second time around. So, but anyway, that's my concern right there. Does he have the talent? And there's going to be, like Jerry said, some growing pains with this PITT program this year because all the people that they lost. On top of that, there's also the big situation where we have, this new offensive staff and coordinator and all that. Defense, I'm not even sure if they're going to be able to control the line of scrimmage. They have a bunch of guys that left from the defensive line, including Dayon Hayes. I mean, I never expected him to jump ship and go to Colorado with Deion Sanders, but I don't know. I mean, like Jerry said, money talks, the NIL talks, and everyone walks. So that's how that works. And in college football these days, it's like the highest bidder, just like the NFL almost. All right, when we come back, real soon here. I'm waiting for Ray Cruz to get here. He just texted me, said he was stuck in a little bit of traffic, might be a little bit late. But in the meantime, when we come back, Smokin' Jim and I are going to break down the ACC conference team by team, because that's the conference Pitt is in. And also, when Ray joins us, he's going to tell us a little bit about North Carolina football, Mac Brown and the boys down there for what they're expecting from them this year. As always, Mac Brown always puts a good team on the field. All right, we'll be back right after these words. Are you looking for a DJ and you can't find one for a good party or special event? Well, guess what? I have the perfect DJ for you. DJ Fun, 15 years of experience and at affordable prices. He offers fun, experience, and value. Call today, 412-545-4317 for DJ Fun. DJ Fun, reliable, affordable, and also one of the best DJs you'll ever have for a party or a special event of any kind. Give them a call today. That number again, 412-545-4317. Do you need insurance? I'm talking about auto. I'm talking about fire. I'm talking about life. And I'm talking about any kind of insurance, even renter's insurance. Well, call Robin Campbell today at 412-366-3399. Give Robin a call. Farmers Insurance, Bristol West. I got to tell you, Robin Campbell came to my house and spoke to me directly about insurance options. And he also will set you up with the best insurance you need for your car, for your car, for renters, for fire insurance, anything, homeowners, any kind of insurance through Farmers Insurance or Bristol West. Give Robin a call again today. That number, 412-366-3399. That's 412-366-3399. Tell them Ralph Williams sent you. Robin Campbell Insurance, Farmers in Bristol West. Give Robin a call. I'm here today to talk to you about Ballpark Wrestling. Ballpark Wrestling brought to you by the Pros of Wrestling. Saturday, August 24th, Pullman Park Stadium, 100 Pullman Park Place, Butler, Pennsylvania. For tickets, visit butlerbluesocks.org. Scan the barcode and also call 412-335-1622 or at the Pros of Wrestling on Facebook. Meet and greet 6:30, bell time 7:30. The Ballpark Wrestling with the Pros of Wrestling. Ralph Williams here today to talk to you about Allied Powers Wrestling Federation. Allied Powers Wrestling Federation is a great independent wrestling company owned by promoter Bubba Brewer, who has been on Wrestle Talk shows with me, Ralph Williams, and Smokin' Jim Frazier. Well, their next event is coming up August 24th at the Castle in Johnstown. For some great independent professional wrestling, come on August 24th, bell time 7 p.m. Get your tickets on AlliedPowersWrestlingFederation.com. And please don't forget, Sports Corner show with Ralph Williams, Smokin' Jim Frazier is a sponsor of all Allied Wrestling Federation events, and also will be at this event as well as all of Allied Powers Wrestling Federation events. Head out to Johnstown, to the Castle, August 24th, 7 p.m. bell time, Allied Powers Wrestling Federation. All right, I know we we're back here at Sports Corner, Ralph Williams, Smokin' Jim Frazier, every single Tuesday, 4 to 6 p.m. right here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch platforms as well. We used to be on Twitter until Elon Musk decided to be greedy and charge me a fee to put my show live on Twitter X platform. So guess what? I dissolved Twitter X platform because I'm not giving Elon Musk. I refuse to give him any money. Smokin' Jim, let's talk about the sad news that we heard about a week ago or a little less than a week ago about PCTV. We had plans on Thursday to put our live show on. It was going to be myself, you, Smokin' Jim, It was going to be Luther Dupree, Claudia Rosano, and Keith Platt from Platt's Point of View show on PCTV. And then all of a sudden, I get this letter, email saying that they're shutting down. Your thoughts on this shutdown of PCTV?
I'm not really qualified to talk about it because I know nothing about it. It's just unfortunate. It was a great run. You know, I don't think it came as a huge surprise because they were having problems. We knew that,
Right.
but you know, I didn't think that they would shut down. But hey, man, 25 years for me, 38 years for the station. You know,
Right.
There's nothing really bad I can say about them.
No, I've had three. This would have been my third stint with them. You know, I've had my first stint was in 1992 to 2000, and then I came back a few years back, and then left, and then we were prepared for my third stint to come to PCTV, and it's a really sad shame about this media outlet that we can no longer use. I spoke today at Pittsburgh City Council on behalf of PCTV. And this is the 5th time I've spoken to the council about PCTV, and I hope they plan on this time doing something based on the fact that they closed up. And you know, I'm not real happy about that because we had plans for shows, Wrestle Talk. We were prepared to put on there. It would have been just like the radio station. It would have been we would have been the only ones with an actual TV wrestling talk show. That no one else really has as far as that goes. All right, Smokin' Jim, let's talk till we get Ray Cruz on here a little bit before we divulge into the ACC conference. Let's talk a little bit of wrestling here for a few moments. Your thoughts on this weekend's SummerSlam card coming up on Saturday? You there, Smokin' Jim?
Go ahead and lead it off, Ralph. I'd be interested to hear what you got to say on that.
Well, I think it's a good card. I like the match with Seth Rollins being the referee for the Drew McIntyre CM Punk match. I think that's going to be an interesting thing to happen there. The Soa Sikoa versus Cody Rhodes. Cody, you better watch out here. This is no fooling here with this guy. He's prepared to take the championship from him and bring it back to the Bloodline. You got members of the Bloodline on Friday on SmackDown participating in a tag team match against DIY. You know, you got the women's belts up for grabs with, you know, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill trying to get that back. Speaking of women's matches, you got Bayley versus Nia Jax. That's going to be an interesting match. And then you have Rhea Ripley, who's back in action against Liv Morgan. You know, you got Damian Priest versus Gunther. I mean, this card is just stacked with matches. You know, I tell you what, I have respect now, a little bit of respect now for Damian Priest based on the fact that, you know, he has better mic skills now. And, you know, he's starting to come around as a wrestler. I'll have even more respect for him if he beats Gunther this Saturday. I don't think he can. I think Gunther's a better wrestler. Your thoughts on Gunther and Damian Priest?
Yeah, I think Gunther should win, but yeah, I look for Gunther to win that match. But Damian could get some help.
Yeah,
you never
absolutely.
know
You're right.
how it unfolds. As far as you know, the Bloodline, that new crazy cat, I think he's the best.
Jacob
they
Fatu.
got,
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I seen him wrestle in
my
MLW, man. Oh my gosh, he tore him apart down there.
He's special.
Yes, he is.
Special or what?
Yes. You know whose
Yeah.
you know whose son that is? That's Umaga's kid. Remember
is it?
Umaga? That's his kid.
Wow.
Yeah, that's Umaga's kid. So, you know, that's
Superfly Snuka have any kids?
yeah, he's got Tamina.
Who's that?
Tamina Snuka. She's a woman wrestler. Remember, she was with WWE for a little while. She's retired now. She's on all these biography shows on A&E.
Oh, she's older. Huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She was a wrestler. She did okay. She won here and
I keep
there.
forgetting.
You know.
I keep forgetting Jimmy Superfly Snooker was a little older, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. She's like in her 40s, I think now, maybe 50 or close to it. She's been
Okay.
around a long
Okay.
time.
That makes
Yeah,
sense. Okay, that makes sense.
yeah, yeah,
It'd be his grandkids. It'd be his grandkids coming along now.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. I don't know what kind of kids she has, and I don't even know if he has any other kids involved in wrestling. I'm not even sure. All right, Smokin' Jim, let's start breaking this down a little bit here because Ray said if he does come on tonight, he was going to be late, but I guess he might still be stuck in some traffic. So, all right, Florida State Seminoles, let's start with them. Mike Norvell is their head coach. He's so far as in his 8th season there, and he has a 69-33 record. Oh, I'm sorry. He has 8 years in coaching and 69-33 because he was the head coach at Memphis, 4 years with Florida State. Your thoughts on Florida State?
Well, I tell you what, man, they really caught fire last year until the quarterback got hurt, man. I tell you what, I thought it saved the coach's job. I thought the players bought in to the program, and once the quarterback got hurt, and they didn't make the BCS, even though a lot of people thought they still should have made the BCS because they had the record. But hey, they're going to be tough again, man. They can recruit a lot of athletes in Florida. Everybody wants to play for Florida State when they're doing well. Florida State and Miami, if they're playing well, people want to play for them.
Yeah, we're going to see. We'll come up with the fact why we have Miami here. I have some friends that cover Miami down in Florida, and I think this year's going to be the year Mario Cristobal better come through, or I think Miami's going to fire him. Okay, I mean, I get it. He's a Miami alum. He's going into what, his 3rd or 4th year, and he hasn't done anything. And he was supposed to be the man that was supposed to carry the team, as far as being the coach, being a Miami alum and everything. And so I just don't know. And then he's supposed to be familiar with Florida. Remember, he was Florida International or Florida Atlantic's coach at one time. And he was also a candidate for a PITT job at one time, or a few times. So Mario Cristobal is a very good defensive coach, but I don't know how he can, as a head coach and what he's willing and prepared to do. You better be careful down there in Miami because he just might get fired after this season. Your thoughts on Miami and Mario Cristobal?
Yeah, either get them good or get them gone. That's what I always say, man. I don't play around, man. Either you're moving the program in the right direction, or I'll find somebody. I'll continue to get me a coach in here until I find somebody that I like, man. And I think he's definitely on the hot seat. I agree with you.
Oh, he has to be, and my friend down in Florida told me that is the case. This is the year he's on the hot seat. He's 12-13 in 2 years down there, Smokin' Jim. Also, his overall record as a coach is 500, close to it. It's 74-73 in 13 years. So,
wow,
yeah, and that's between Oregon, Florida International, or Atlantic, and I can't remember which one it was that he coached. All right, Ray here has said he is getting his notes, and he'll shortly be on with us here. So he just got home, got stuck in some traffic there where he is at in North Carolina there. Traffic everywhere, Smokin' Jim. I got caught in it today and almost didn't make it back here. So, it is what it is, so. All right, but anyway, that's Mario Cristobal there and the Miami Hurricanes. Clemson, Dabu Sweeney. What do you think what do you think they're going to do this year?
wow.
The last couple of years they haven't been very good. So, I mean,
I don't know what happened. They almost like they dropped off. I don't know if it's they started to come on towards the end of last year a little bit. They started getting their swag back. I think NLI hurt them. I think the coach opening his mouth on a couple controversial political subjects kind of hurt them a little bit. Not getting a quarterback to replace some of the great quarterbacks that they had, but Dabo can coach. I think he'll get them back on track this year.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what Clemson does. Like I said, the last couple of years they haven't done anything. We already spoke about Miami. Let's take a look at NC State. NC State, Dave Dorn is their head coach down there. They didn't do a bad job last year. He's been there for 11 years now. He's 81-58. He's done pretty decent down there. Your thoughts on the NC State Wolfpack? They squeezed into a bowl game last year, I believe. Or actually, they were in the contention for the ACC title. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they were last year. So
Well, they don't have my all-time favorite player, Peyton Wilson, anymore.
No,
so,
they do not. You're exactly right. They do not. Yeah, they won. They won most of their games last year. They were 8-4, and they ended last year. So, I mean, they lost to Kansas State. They lost to Duke. Unfortunately, lost to Duke. They lost to Louisville and they lost to Notre Dame last year. So that was their losses there. So, and they didn't play Pitt. So at least we can't say that was an L. That's an L, Jim. It's an L. We all know who that is. It's an L, Jim. It's an L. So, all right. Jeff Brom, new coach at Louisville last year, came from Purdue. He was 10-4 last year. They were in the ACC championship game in his first year there at Louisville. Your thoughts on Louisville, Smokin' Jim?
Always good, man. I mean, Louisville's been good for decades. Went from being just a basketball school to a basketball and football program. I used to tease Judge Dwayne Woodruff all the time. I'm like, hey, you went to a basketball school. He didn't like that too much. He said, we're good in football too. Yeah, Louisville's going to be good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, oh yeah, I think they will. Jeff Brom is a really good coach. Rick Pitino, or I'm not Rick Pitino. Oh gosh, Bobby Petrino. He was the one that got Louisville up in the football program there. Schembechler, I think, coached there too, didn't he? Bo Schembechler, I think he coached there for a little while. Yeah. So all right. Let's see here.
Well, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. I'm not either, but
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I thought he coached there for a couple of years. Anyway.
At Louisville?
Yeah, he might have.
I know he came from Ohio State. That's why him and Woody Hayes hated each other. He left Woody Hayes for their rivalry, Michigan, and they were bitter enemies after that, brother.
All right. Last year, SMU, who joins the ACC this year, so I want to congratulate them for joining the conference, but I don't know if their record's going to be congratulating to some schools. Their record last year was 11-3. They were 8-0 in first place in the AAC last year, and I believe they even won the conference title or was in the game. So your thoughts on the SMU Mustangs?
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I was super high on them. They was averaging close to 50 points a game in most of their games last year. They're blowing teams out until they lost to Boston College in the bowl game. I'm like,
how do you lose to Boston College? Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Boston College stunk last year.
Yeah.
And, I don't even know how they made the bowl. So, but SMU is talent. Any team in Texas, man, there's so many football recruits you can get out of Texas. You don't even got to go out to state, man, to recruit. So SMU is going to be good. It'll be back to the Eric Dickerson, Craig James era.
There you go. All right. We know the legend Mac Brown in the North Carolina Tar Heels. Ray's going to tell us as soon as he gets on the air here. That's his alma mater, North Carolina and the Tar Heels. Mac Brown at North Carolina, total wins, and even with his second stint, 107, 73-1, 15 years total, including 38 and 27 in his second stint there. He was once the coach at Texas, What do you, as always, Smokin' Jim, I think you'll agree with me. North Carolina is going to be a tough team again this year.
Yes, yes, man. Mac Brown's just a great coach, always been. The game hasn't passed him by yet. He's getting up there in age, but he can still put together a great program, man. Old Mac Brown.
Georgia Tech here, Smokin' Jim. They haven't had a good season for a while. They had a couple guys that were their head coach. That Johnson guy, he coached down there. He was okay. And then they've had some coaches over the years there. But lately, they've been kind of stinking up the joint a little bit here. Excuse me. Brent Key, who was the coach 2 years ago, who was the interim coach at Georgia Tech and beat Pitt. So this will be his third season or his second season, and he's 11-10 right now. So, all right, we have Ray Cruz with us here. I don't think he's any relation to Paul Cruz from the Mean Machine. So anyway, Ray, thanks for joining us, man. You always hear the old saying, "Better late than never." So and Ray is Ray. Introduce yourself. You're the president of ASAP Sports, who happens to be one of our sponsors here. For this program as well. And you're Ray. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm the co-owner of the All Sports Off Place Network with Jay Ness. I do the college breakdown show on Saturdays, pregame show for all the college football games for the All Sports Off Place Network. Me and Dre Montez. 20 years Navy veteran. Been doing ASAP since 2021, and now I'm going to Full Sail University to the Dan Patrick School of Broadcasting. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, there you go. Hey, I heard about that. I hear that's actually pretty good. Do you have to actually go there, or can you do it online?
I do it online.
Okay. Well, maybe I might get that because I went to broadcasting school. I went to Columbia School of Broadcasting. So, but, so I might be interested in that. That might not be a bad idea. Even though I'm 50, I'm going to be 56 this year. So we'll see where that goes.
I'm 52.
There you go. Hey, there's never nothing wrong with educating the brain, right?
That's true. That is true.
All right. Smokin' Jim, say hello to Ray Cruz.
Hey, Ray, I salute your service, sir.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, I also want to thank you as well for your service. My father was in the Marines, served in Vietnam. So, he's up with the Lord now. So, all right, Ray, thank you for joining us. And you told me you're a North Carolina alum, or you follow North Carolina Tar Heels. We were just getting ready to talk about them, Smokin' Jim and I, until you came on, which we're going to let you talk about them. So there you are. Your thoughts this year on North Carolina?
Well, the two key things is the quarterback, who's going to replace May, and then who is Jeff Collins, the new defensive coordinator, to replace Gene Chizik, whose defense did not do anything last year. It hurt more, North Carolina did, in the defensive side than the offensive side in the game. So that, and then another addition of Charter Warren, who's making his return back. So that's going to give some new process on the defensive side. The defense this year is going to be better than the offense because they got some key returning players on the defensive side of the ball. So hopefully that will be intact. But like I said, we got a great running back, great offensive line, but the quarterback is going to be questionable. So that's why I look at it right now.
Your thoughts this year, Ray, on the ACC as a whole, as a conference. Who do you think that takes it this year? I know North Carolina's probably up on the top of the list. Smokin' Jim and I just ran down a few teams here with the additions of SMU, Cal U from California there, and Stanford. What do you? How do you look at this conference this year?
I'll call it the ACC. Now I changed the name on my show Saturday. I call it the Atlantic Central Pacific Conference.
I like that. That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh my gosh.
I think over the whole, it's going to depend on how SMU is coming back. SMU used to be a good football program until they got the death penalty, and then they started to come back. They started to come back on a little bit of a men's. Now, that's going to be the key of the SMU and the California. Stanford It's down right now. I think that's going to be a little bit of a. I say it depends on if they can get that program going back to where Shaw had it.
Shaw, yeah, I was
At
going
that
to
one
say
time,
that.
Brian Shaw.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the key for those three coming in and help them get the conference a little bit up in the tier. Right now, the ACC is number 3 behind the Big Ten and the SEC. That's my opinion on this whole take of the new college football season. College football to me is not more. It's not more than a business now. It's not a college because
Yeah.
everything's been treated like business. So that goes some of the rivalries out the door. Oregon State's out the door rivalry. It doesn't hold enough because it's not playing
Pitt,
for a
Penn
conference
State.
spot.
Pitt, Penn State. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not a rivalry anymore. They're trying to bring it back for a third time. I mean, and it's terrible out there. Pitt, West Virginia just came back 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
I mean,
And I look at the ACC. This is how I look at the ACC. Florida State's gonna have questions at the quarterback because they brought DJ Ungolea back into the ACC out of Oregon State, but he played at Clemson. You know what he did at Clemson, so now he's coming back to the ACC team to Florida State, hopefully to try to beat Clemson on the other side to show Clemson what they gave up on. So that's going to be the key on that side of the ledger. But to me, I think Clemson could be on the way back up. So it's gonna be between Clemson, Florida State, and I'm gonna give it to the arch rival North Carolina State. North Carolina State's got a little bit of a question on the defense of who's gonna replace Patrick Wilson on the
Peyton
defensive
Wilson.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peyton. So that's another thing there. Their offensive side is gonna be handed who's gonna replace Armstrong at quarterback. They bring him Morrison. Morrison took a year off, a half a year off. Now they're bringing him back as the quarterback. So that's going to be another thing on that NC State that you got to look at. But NC State on the whole, recruiting wise, I think they can compete with Florida State this year. I think they can compete with Clemson. So that's my 3 tiers. North Carolina's probably number 4 and number 5 right now because I don't know exactly what they have. And Pitt, on the other hand, for Pitt now, I think Pitt's right behind North Carolina. But see, Pitt and North Carolina's battle the last 3 or 4 years has been down to the wire.
Fight. Yeah, it's been a dog fight. Yes, it has. Oh,
so,
absolutely.
I mean, so after a 3-9 season too, a lot of people think the head coach Pat Sardus is on the hot seat. After that 3-9 season. So this is gonna make a break season probably for Pitt right now.
It is
on that front. So you got your tier right now. I got Clemson sitting number 1, Florida State number 2, NC State number 3, North Carolina number 4, and Pitt number 5. And then you bring everybody else. You bring everybody else in that thing. Now,
Syracuse isn't going to be relevant this year. They have a new coach. He has to get things together. Virginia, I don't know what Tony Elliott's going to do there. He hasn't. He's had some bumps and bruises, and then you got Virginia Tech as well. In there as well. So Louisville Smokin Jim and I were just talking about Louisville a little bit. We started diving into this ACC conference a little bit before you came on, leading into you coming on the show. Smokin Jim, you have any questions for Ray? You there, Smokin Jim? Hope I didn't lose him. No, I didn't lose him. He's still here. Smokin Jim. I hope he didn't indulge into something there and forgot he was on the air. Oh, well. Okay. Anyway, are you still there, Smokin Jim? What's going on with him? Are you there, Smokin Jim? Nah. Oh, well. Well, I don't know what happened. Maybe he got distracted or something there. So I don't know.
It's gonna be a fun football season this year.
I think the ACC is going to be a really good Ray. He went off the air here. I don't know what's going on with him. So he has AT&T and he had some issues. Remember when they had that breakdown or whatever, and I couldn't get him on the phone here. It was a rough day. Yeah. So maybe they're at it again with that. So we'll see how that goes. Your thoughts on on the rest? I mean, I know we have some downtrodden teams here like Duke and Wake Forest, Dave Clawson. Can teams like that make a comeback this year, Ray, here in the ACC, or is it going to be tough sledding for them all?
Well, you know, my rivalry is Duke and North Carolina State and Wake Forest, really. But Duke is the main rivalry with North Carolina between the fans, the hate and love, the hate relationship
Right.
on the thing. You love them when they're not playing you, but then, you know, fans wise, then you go into the big battles and stuff like that. But Duke's gonna have a hard time because you got Manny Diaz as the head coach.
Right. Yes.
You got
Yes.
Leonard Riley, who's now at Notre Dame, the quarterback. So he's now gone out of the picture.
Right.
Even though they got a quarterback that took his spot that is pretty good too. But the question is, you know how Manny Diaz did at Miami. Is that going to be the same way he does at Duke too? So I mean, that's going to be a
everybody
question
gets
mark right there.
resurrected, Ray. I mean, you know, a different change of atmosphere. You know, sometimes you might stink somewhere else and end up being a good head coach. Manny Diaz, I'm told, is a good coordinator. And I've said this many times. I think you'll agree with me. You could be a coordinator, but you can't be a head coach. And, you know, some people can bake a cake and some people can't, you know, and that's, you know, that's where it goes there, you know.
Yeah, if you look at what you're talking about there, change the atmosphere. He's a good offensive coordinator, but you know sometimes a good offensive coordinator does not turn into a great head coach because he doesn't have he has no leadership, he has no management skill. Because when you go from a coordinator to a head coach, you got to know the defense, you got to know the special teams, you got to know your offense, you got to know everybody's position, you got to know when to make that substitution or when to talk to the offensive coordinator. And that's something that Manny Diaz did not do effectively at Miami. And now coming into Duke, and he's going to have to learn this. Maybe he tweaked some of it. Maybe he got a hold of Matt Brown. I don't know. You know, I don't know if Matt Brown told him any secrets because they're going to be battling each other again. But I mean,
yeah,
you know, he was the offensive coordinator for Texas when Matt Brown was at Texas. So, you know, that's a little bit of a thing there. But then you got to look at, you're talking about SMU, Stanford, and California is going to be a big adjustment because now teams will have to come from the West Coast to the East Coast and all that stuff. And they're doing it, the way they're doing it is the makeup of the schedule is teams will have to go to the Pacific 3 times in 7 years. Pacific teams have to come to the East Coast 3 to 7 times in the 7 years of this makeup.
7 years.
So, I mean, the travel, the logistics, and stuff like that. Now, you got to figure out now how the ACC is going to run the ACC championship. How are they going to make the venues? Are they going to alternate from the East Coast, West Coast, and Central? We don't know. We don't know how that's going to work out because you got to make it fair for all these teams. Now you're going to Pacific, Central, and Atlantic, and now this is unknown charted territory for the ACC right now. Uncharted territory for Big Ten because they've got to do some of the same things.
Right.
You know, Penn State's probably got to go to Oregon. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a guy on from West Virginia. We were talking about the Big 12. Oklahoma State joins them this year. So, you know, that's going to be an interesting scenario there. Boston College, Bill O'Brien, 2 years at Penn State. He was 15-9 in his 2 years at Penn State. What do you think Bill O'Brien can do at Boston College?
Now, that's another great coordinator. Now he's turned into another head coach. I think he can do it. But the question is, can he get the recruits to come to Chestnut Hill?
That's the question.
That's going to be the problem because you got that Boston area, but then you got people like Penn State goes up to Boston, grab some players. You got Ohio State comes up to Boston, grab some players. Can they? The question, and I always when you recruit, your team is based in that state. You got to recruit your state. Your in-house state's got to be the first priority. You can't have them go out to different schools. North Carolina is the same way.
Right.
They talk about in-state recruiting more than they do national recruiting. They try to keep their players in, and Matt Brown does a good job doing that. Going to he's got good ports with head coaches around the state and high school. You know, Dave Doran does it a little bit different. He picks some in-state guys, but he goes out nationally and grabs people.
Goes after national athletes, right? Yeah, he doesn't just keep them in state. Ray,
So,
thank you for being part of the program today, and I appreciate you being here despite the fact you got stuck in some traffic there, and I know what
yeah,
that's like. We got the same problems here in Pittsburgh. We'll be in touch because I wanted to expand my network a little bit on your network, and
okay.
we'll be in touch. And I'd like to touch base with you again and have you on the show again, and another time we'll talk some more.
All right. I appreciate
All
it.
right,
Glad to
thanks,
have
Ray.
me on here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Anytime, Ray. Ray
All
Cruz,
right.
the co-owner of ASAP Sports, one of our sponsors here for Sports Corner Show. And Ray, thanks again, and thank you again for your service. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Not a problem.
All right,
Y'all have a good night.
you too. Thank you. All right, that was Ray Cruz from ASAP Sports Network, and who's one of our sponsors here. Don't forget tomorrow, 3 p.m. Ralph's Opinion. We have a lot to talk about tomorrow. Our main topic is going to be about communication. Why is communication so bad in this country with all the technology we have and everything else? So I want to know about that tomorrow. Well, of course, we're going to indulge into some more of the Kamala Harris and the Trump campaign and everything else tomorrow. So we'll be 3 o'clock here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch platforms. So don't forget to tune in tomorrow to Ralph's Opinion. And then on Thursday, 7 p.m., the way we see it with me, Ralph Williams, and Bill Canada, we had to move it from Monday because I had some personal business I had to take care of on Monday. So we moved it to Thursday, and it will be 7 o'clock Thursday, the way we see it. Me, Ralph Williams, and Bill Canada. And then Saturday morning, 9 a.m., the External Bum Show with me, Ralph Williams, Scott Morganroth, Leo Haggerty, and Jeremy Ballrick. All right, right here on our social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch as well. All right, for Smokin' Jim Frazier, I'm Ralph Williams. Everyone have yourself a great one.